Hello everyone. I don't know if this happens to you, but sometimes I can spend a lot of time just scrolling down into Facebook or YouTube or Instagram or any of those social apps, Twitter, for example. Uh, and there is just so much information in there. Sometimes it's just hard to know what's real and what's fake. Everything seems to be real at first sight. Everything seems to be true. All this information seems to come from a reliable source, but sometimes it's just pretty obvious that it's fake. Sometimes it's just super obvious that it's fake. That is why sometimes I wonder how is it possible that some people they believe in those fake news when it's pretty obvious that they are fake. Because in history, for example, there have been a couple of really catastrophes, like human catastrophes, with lethal consequences, where many people have died because they followed or they believed fake news. And we have a couple of examples through human history. But nowadays, the thing is like, I don't know, 30 years ago, there was no social media apps. I mean, 30 years ago, there was no Facebook, there was no YouTube, for example. So it was harder for them to actually check to see if the information they were receiving was true or false. But nowadays, we have Google, basically, we have internet, we have so many sources that we can use to recheck and see if information is true or not. So it's so hard to believe that some people nowadays, today, in this present time, they still get fooled by some of these fake news, and they believe these fake news, and sometimes they have very bad consequences for their lives or for their families and for the rest of us, because some people are taking decisions that are affecting us, for example, and some of those decisions are based on information that is not necessarily true or real. But yeah, this is I don't want no more Facebook, no more YouTube for tonight. The thing is, like, sometimes it gets me annoyed because Facebook, for example, YouTube, Twitter, they are just sending so much information, and these influencers nowadays that we see in all channels, like, they are basically like this. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel once again. But first of all, give me a like, share this video, please subscribe to my channel right here so you receive a notification every time that. So I guess you have seen this type of people all around the internet all the time. They are trying to be very attractive in their videos and the way they speak, so that many other people feel attracted to them. But I'm a little bit scared because of the information that they provide, because most of them, they seem to know what they're talking about, and they try to influence you. That's why they are called influencers. And then it comes the issue that a lot of the consumers, the people who are consuming their content, are young people, kids like you. Therefore, I'm going to give you a couple of examples of how in human history, groups of people, they have committed very bad mistakes with very bad consequences, lethal consequences for them, because of believing in information that was not true. Because they didn't have the skills to filter information, to classify information, and knowing what was true and what was false. Unfortunately, they believe real information was real, but no, it actually was false, so they had very bad consequences. But at this moment, I really feel tired because I've been checking information all around and I have so many things in my head, so I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. Cześć everyone, dzień dobry, good morning, this is already tomorrow, so let's continue. So I'm going to give you 3 different examples of fake or false information, but we're going to have 3 categories. Number 1 is going to be something that is called hereditary information. This is the type of information that is passed from a generation to the other. What does that mean? Well, it's the information that your grandparents gave your parents and now your parents are giving to you. Unfortunately, some of that information is not right. Number 2, false information. Basically, false information is the term that describes the information that we receive from non-certified sources, unknown sources. Basically, nobody knows who wrote them. Basically, you don't know how they showed up. You are just sometimes scrolling out Facebook, watching videos on YouTube, and boom, then you have some information that you don't know where it came from. And you are like, okay, who created this? And sometimes that is very, very bad information that we believe. Number three, fake news. So fake news and false information they're pretty similar. They converge in some aspects. They have some common points. So mostly this is the information you may listen to into the radio or in TV, like in the news. And this might be very, very dangerous and risky type of information. Why? Because we tend to believe in the news. If you listen to some information in the news, well, you believe it because that's the news. And there are journalists working for the news. There are people whose jobs are to go out there to look for real information. So that's why we believe them. And what about if that information is wrong, false, or fake? So there we have. So we have hereditary information, we have false information, and then we have fake news. So let's go with some examples. So type of information number one is hereditary information. As I mentioned before, is the type of information that goes from one generation to the other. As you may remember, in Colombia, we drink a lot of coffee. The whole day, every hour, anytime. The first drink in the morning, coffee. The last drink at night, coffee. So for example, my grandpa, when he was living in the farm, he was having the first drink of coffee, like the first cup of coffee, something around 6:30 in the morning before he started working, because he said that coffee was giving him like energy. So we all grew up with that mentality of coffee in the morning, and actually that's something around the world. You know that people, they before work, they drink coffee. So now we know by scientific studies that caffeine and coffee actually they don't give you more energy. What caffeine does is that it goes to your brain and basically wakes you up for a short period of time. After that, you go back to your normal state. So if you want to have more energy or to feel more awake in the morning, you actually can just eat an apple. It brings you a little bit more energy than coffee. Type of information number two. So false information. This is a story that is mostly related to women and cosmetics, because you know that every day there are new like makeup products like cosmetics. There are new ones for the eyebrows, for the eyelashes, for the skin, for the hair, for everything. Um, and there was a time when I was like in my teenage years, and I have a little sister, and she came to me saying like, oh, you know, well, I have a new method to lighten my eyes. You know, like to lighten your eyes. What do you mean? So we have, my sister and I, we have like brown colored eyes. So we have like brown eyes. And he was like, yeah, I have a method that now everyone is talking about so that I can have some green eyes. You know, like, okay, what is the method? And she said like, I just have to use lemon. If I use lemon drops every day into my eyes, in 2 weeks, I'm gonna have like green eyes. Seriously? Seriously? Yes, believe it or not, that was information all around. All the girls, well, mostly girls, they were talking about it because they really wanted to have like green eyes or blue eyes or whatever by using lemon. So I'm not a scientist, nothing to do with that. But I can ensure that if you use lemon into your eyes, they're going to lighten. Yeah, in 2 days you're gonna get blind. And finally, we have fake news. There are all types of fake news. So there are fake news related to science, for example. Yeah, an asteroid. I remember like in 2000, they were saying that there was going to come, that there was an asteroid that was going to collide the Earth and they were going to die. Then in 2012, because of the Mayan and Aztecan prediction, there was another asteroid that was going to come and blah blah. In 2020, they also said there was another fake news about people who passed away. You know, the Pope, presidents, the Queen of England. You know, in my life, I've seen so many news about the Queen of England dying that she has died like 5 times already. Another example of this fake news, something that is really, really dangerous, is medical news. Because many people, mostly the ones who are sick, they might believe in this. They are highly influenceable people. So, for example, there are news like this where they say that somebody already found the cure for cancer or the cure for AIDS. So many people would pay money for that, and many people would put their lives on risk just to try those new treatments and new medicines, and sometimes they just die for trying those things that are not actually from a doctor or from a hospital, from any other scientific or medical authority. So they are just random people creating fake news that they have the cure for any sickness. So that's pretty dangerous. So these are examples of fake news and false information. And I mentioned before that sometimes this false information can create catastrophes for humankind. I'm going to give you one example. So this is called the Jonestown Massacre. So basically in the 70s, there was a new ideology, a new kind of religion that was called the Temple for the People, or mostly known as Jonestown. This was an ideology that was born in the United States, in the state of Indiana, in Indianapolis actually. And basically it was created by a guy whose name was Jim Jones. Actually the name is already weird, Jim Jones. So this guy basically created an ideology of no racism, of love, of peace, because in these times, in the 70s, 60s, there was a lot of tension between white people and black people mostly. So this guy created this ideology where everyone was loving everyone, there was no racism. So actually that sounded pretty nice. The thing is, like, the guy started having a lot of popularity and somehow he was getting rich very quick. So that's already a reason to believe that maybe he was doing something weird, like getting money from people who believe in this. Well, the mystery is that this guy had a huge group of fans in South America. So he decided to travel to Guyana, which is actually in the north part of South America. It's actually Colombia, Venezuela, and then you have Guyana. And he traveled to this place where he gathered a huge community of people who believed in this guy, because they said that this guy had like powers to cure sicknesses. He was basically Jesus. He was like God, and people really worshipped him, like really believed in him like God. And they came to kind of a ceremony because the guy was coming and everything, and he offered a drink to everyone. He said that drink he was offering to everyone was going to cure you. You were going to feel better if you had any problem. That drink was going to, take all negative energy from you. So obviously people believed in this guy so much that they were like, yeah, sure, whatever you say, I will do it. Exactly 918 people. So almost 1,000 people who came, they received the drink. And basically all at the same time, they said cheers, na zdrowie, and they drank this poisonous thing that the guy gave them. 1 hour later, then the news came. November 18 of 1978, in Georgetown, 918 people. So basically 1,000 people, almost 1,000 people died. Why did all these people die? Because they believed in something. They believed in something that was fake. So with this, we finished this session. Thank you so much for your attention and listening to me. The second part is your part. So I'm going to give a couple of links with a couple of videos that you should watch so you get more information about this. And you have a Google Documents with the task that you have to do. Please read all the instructions and do your homework, all right? So please follow the instructions, do the homework. If you have any question, just send me an email or a comment, all right? See you next time. Bye.